Welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating and honestly highly charged piece of political commentary. It dives deep into an intense, intra-party conflict over the Save America Act. What we're looking at here is a raw, escalating standoff between the White House and Senate leadership. Now, regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, analyzing how this source frames the friction, the stakes, and the proposed strategies, while it offers an absolutely incredible window into modern political communication. So let's dive right into the specific allegations and the radical solutions being proposed.
Section 1. The clash over legislation, the initial spark. Okay, so every good political drama needs a flashpoint, right? And this one starts with a very public disagreement.
Notice the stark contrast in messaging here between these two figures. First, you have White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt demanding the Senate step up, pointing out that the House has already passed variations of the act 4 separate times. But then, listen to Senate Leader Thune's response. It's pretty dismissive. He fires back, basically telling her that maybe she should get on the phone and get the votes herself. The source we're analyzing frames this as Thune essentially telling the White House to do his job for him, presenting it as a massive misstep by the established leadership.
And that brings us to a quote that brilliantly illustrates the frustration echoing straight from the top. The source highlights this direct remark from Donald Trump, quote, "It's like the Senate is a place that you send things when you want them to die." It's a crystal clear signal that patience is completely wearing thin when it comes to legislation involving voter ID and proof of citizenship. This sets the perfect stage for a dramatic escalation in tactics.
Moving on to Section 2, Trump's ultimatum on the filibuster. The filibuster fight. Because of this legislative gridlock, the strategy shifts toward one of Washington's most debated mechanisms. So, the narrator breaks down an urgent warning from Donald Trump. According to the source, if Republicans don't act first, Democrats have a very specific 3-step plan ready to go. Step 1, terminate the filibuster. Step 2, immediately push to make Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. official states. And Step 3, the kicker, this move would instantly grant Democrats 4 new senators, 12 new congressmen, and roughly 40 electoral votes. The source presents this as a strategy that would secure a massive, permanent electoral advantage.
So, what is the proposed counter-strategy? Well, it's a highly aggressive maneuver. The idea is to nuke the filibuster right now while Republicans have unified control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. The argument here is that by eliminating the filibuster immediately, they can permanently codify the America First agenda into law. It is framed entirely as a preemptive strike to ensure political opponents never regain unified control of the government. Ever again.
To justify this extreme legislative maneuver, the source relies on a pretty dramatic analogy. They compare the situation to defending yourself against an attacker who has already explicitly stated their intentions. You wouldn't hold back out of politeness in that scenario, right? And this is actually grounded in recent history. As a quick reminder, back in 2022, the political opposition already tried to end the filibuster, and they failed by just 2 votes. Waiting around, the source argues, is literally no longer a viable option.
Which brings us to Section 3. Allegations against Senator Thune, financial accusations. Here, the explainer transitions from theoretical strategy to very serious, direct allegations leveled against the Senate leader. The source explicitly accuses Senator Thune of misleading the public. Thune claims he simply cannot count 50 votes in the Senate for the latest reconciliation framework, but the source adamantly disputes this, reporting that as of June 9th, the act already had exactly 50 votes. This discrepancy is used to paint Thune as an obstructionist who's intentionally avoiding bringing the bill to the floor.
To explain this alleged reluctance, the narrator introduces a massive figure, $1.58 million. This number represents campaign contributions reportedly given to Senator Thune over his career, and it's presented here as the primary motivation for stalling the Save America Act.
Let's break down exactly where that money is allegedly coming from. Over his career, Thune has reportedly taken this $1.58 million from 4 specific industries that rely heavily on cheap foreign labor. Therefore, the source argues, Thune is financially incentivized to block the Save America Act, despite telling his voter base otherwise for 2 years. The narrator goes so far as to claim this explains his refusal to force a speaking filibuster, outright accusing the Senate leader of being, quote, bought and paid for.
Section 4. The public backlash, social media fallout. So, how exactly is the public reacting to this high-level friction?
Well, the narrator points to a recent social media post by Senator Thune about his wholesome upbringing in Murdo, South Dakota. The metrics are pretty wild, just 93 likes compared to a staggering 2,000 comments. In internet culture, this is known as being ratioed. When replies vastly outnumber likes, it's a glaring indicator of intense negative sentiment. To the source, this proves the public is absolutely furious.
The commentary actually reads through these replies to drive the point home. quoting angry comments like, "Do your job and pass the act. You sold out, and I can't wait to vote you out," visually underscores their overarching claim. Based on this visceral reaction in the comment section, the source claims a staggering 86% of the American public is completely fed up with traditional Senate leadership.
The source then concludes with a truly radical ultimatum. Swap out the established Senate leader, John Thune, for White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt to just get the job done. The core argument here? A fiercely loyal party outsider would be far more effective at pushing the agenda forward than the current institutional leadership.
And that leaves us with a fascinating question to ponder. It cuts to the very core of modern political populism. Based on this narrative, is the future of legislative strategy going to be driven by establishment mechanics and traditional negotiation, or by outsider demands and aggressive ultimatums? It's a fundamental clash between the old guard and the new wave, and the outcome will dictate the path of national law. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the strategies behind the headlines. I'll see you next time.